I've played plenty of video games in my life. The list is freaking huge. And recently I've played some absolute bangers. Elden Ring, Elden Ring's DLC, Elden Ring 2 Dark Souls Edition, Monkey Elden Ring was pretty good. And some of you may know I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I love Resident Evil games. But nothing has really sunk its teeth into my brain like Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead 2 is a game that I've put off for the longest time in my life for various reasons. When the game first came out, it was only on PlayStation. I didn't own a PlayStation back then because I was broke as fuck. Then the game came out on PC and turned out you needed a fucking beef machine to play that shit. I tried playing it on my old computer, it didn't run very well. I tried playing it on my last laptop, which was not too bad, but the game ran barely at like 30 FPS. So I played the first chapter and then I realized, you know what, this is very subpar, I'm gonna wait. Then I got a PlayStation 5 and turns out Rockstar never made the game 60 FPS on PlayStation 5. Believe it or not, it's fucking mind-blowing. But now that I finally have a modern day working computer, I was able to play this game, and my god, let me tell you, I've never been this chronically addicted to fictional characters in a video game. Do you all want to know why I haven't been uploading videos in September? Red Dead Redemption 2. There's your answer. Why has there only been 5 Primacon videos all month? Red Dead Redemption 2. Why is Silk Song still not out? Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm gonna try to not get into too many spoilers because if you haven't played Red Dead, I highly recommend you check it out, so I'm not gonna spoil anything. Now, I went into the Red Dead series completely blind. I've never played the original video game Red Dead Redemption 1 before. I didn't know any of the characters when I jumped into it. So I had a fucking fresh experience with zero biases. I didn't get any references. Seeing John Marston didn't fucking twist my nipples and make them hard. I didn't go crazy looking at Dutch or Bill or Javier because those characters are in Red Dead 1 too. And let me tell you, this is just a testament to the fact that the game actually does not rely on its predecessor at all to generate hype. It just genuinely tells a good story. Let me get the biggest negative complaint I have out of the way first. And no, it's not what you think. It's not the slow animations that the game is famous for. Or the, skinning every animal takes 10 centuries. Oh, you gotta pick up an item and put it in your satchel. Looting is so slow. All these complaints people have had about Red Dead. I don't think they're actually complaints. I think they add to the experience that the game is trying to give you. It's not supposed to be a looter-shooter kind of game where you just press a button and immediately collect 7 billion items. It's an immersive role-playing experience and it's for a very specific kind of audience. So complaining about that kind of stuff, I feel like you just missed the mark of Red Dead Redemption 2. No, my complaint is regarding the shooting mechanics in Rockstar video games that have been basically the same since a fucking decade. God fucking damn it, I really hope Rockstar moves on from this pathetic dated old shooting mechanic in GTA 6. GTA 6 better have some Max Payne 3 level of shooting because by god this gets old really fast. Rockstar mission structure is very simple. You go to an NPC, have a conversation. Usually it follows a long horse ride where you go to another location which ends up in a shooting gallery where you shoot a bunch of people and then you drive back or ride your horse back or just end the mission there. That's usually the structure of the missions. Yeah, sometimes you might deviate from that structure where you go fishing or hunting or do something crazy like that, but generally speaking you do a lot of talking and you do a lot of shooting. Now talking we will get to because that's where the game shines, which is where my addiction comes from and which is why I was hooked on this thing for a whole month. But the shooting gets really old. It's really simple. There's no skill in it. You can basically beat this game without ever upgrading or buying a new gun. It doesn't really matter, especially if you play on a mouse and keyboard, which I didn't. I feel like this game is much better balanced for a controller. But if you're playing on a mouse and keyboard, my god, it's a cakewalk. And it's exactly the same shooting mechanics as in GTA 5 or GTA 4. And it gets old really fast, especially when you hit chapter 5. It's just boring by that point. It's just another shooting gallery after another shooting gallery. But that's my only negative complaint about it. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not what the game is about. The game is about these characters. Arthur, John, Javier, Lenny, Hosea. There's so many characters, I don't think any other video game has had such a giant cast of characters and has me care about every single one of them. And has every single one of them be so distinct and memorable from each other. The amount of times I've spent this game just sitting at my camp, listening to conversations between different NPCs talk, not just with Arthur, but amongst each other. You catch so much story and lore by just listening to these people chat. Like, of course you have your main storyline, which is incredible and one of the best things I've ever seen, but the slow moments really elevate this game for me. You can greet people or antagonize them, you can make Arthur a complete douchebag, which I kind of did in the first few chapters. I kind of on purpose went super low honor at first and then redeemed myself throughout the story, where I did better and better and better acts, and by the end of the game I finished it with a high honor ending. Kinda puts the whole redemption in Red Dead Redemption. Plus, if you play as evil Arthur, the line deliveries of the voice actor is just peak perfection. Speaking of Arthur, Arthur Morgan is probably my favorite protagonist of any video game or any media ever of all time. I just love this man so fucking much, and I don't think there will ever be another protagonist like Arthur Morgan. It's so funny because fans of the first game were really complaining about playing as Arthur when they first saw the trailers of Red Dead Redemption 2. So I've heard from the fans, because John Marston is the main character of the first game and everyone wanted to play as John. People were like, who is this Arthur guy? I don't want to play as this some generic gunslinger. I want to play as John. And then you play as Arthur and it's the best freaking thing ever, and you don't want to go back to John ever again. After I finished Red Dead 2, I watched every single cutscene of Red Dead 1 like a full movie because I wanted the whole lore. And I love John. I think he's a very good character, but he's no Arthur Morgan. Ain't no one know Arthur Morgan. It is just so good. You know, in GTA 5 missions or whatever, when you're driving from checkpoint A to checkpoint B and the characters are talking in the car, I never usually give a shit about cutting off their conversations. I just want to get to the destination fast and progress the story and watch the next cutscene, basically. In Red Dead 2, if the characters are talking, if like Arthur and Sadie are going on a ride and they're chatting about Sadie's past, about O'Driscoll's and her husband, and you're listening to them talk as they're going on this fucking horse ride, and the weather is all pretty and it's beautiful, and I see the objective marker approaching on the map, but they're not done talking, I would just stop the horse until they finish their full conversation and then move on, because I didn't want to miss a single piece of dialogue that this game had to offer, because by God, I have never seen better writing in any video game ever. Which is why I don't understand the complaints of the gameplay feeling slow and sluggish. That is the whole point. It's supposed to be a slow, steady adventure that you soak in over a long period of time. Which, by the way, this game is long. If you do all the side content like I did, and you do all the missions, and you don't even like take your time per se, but you just don't rush through the game, it'll take you like 80 hours to see everything that this game has to offer. There is just so much content, and there's so much replayable value to it as well, which not a lot of single player games, story driven single player games, cannot say that. Playing as high honor Arthur versus low honor Arthur is completely different experience, and this game has a complete 4 different endings, 2 of them being completely different from each other, and you know, they have 2 different variations in each. You can watch all the endings on YouTube after you've done a let's play. I don't think that's too bad to do that, but you will definitely want to replay this game if you played it as high honor, which you should for your first playthrough, and going to low honor in your second playthrough. And just the NPCs in this game, man, not even the main cast, the Vanderling gang, because they're amazing, of course they are, as expected, but just the random NPCs you find walking around in towns like Valentine. I have never seen people feel so real in a video game world. Not even in like games like Cyberpunk, which boast about, you know, their crazy NPCs and RPG mechanics, and then it turned out not to be that. Or even in Grand Theft Auto games or other, you know, Rockstar properties or Ubisoft. Well, fuck Ubisoft. I don't know, I can think long and hard, but I can't think of a single company or franchise that does NPCs like Red Dead Redemption 2. It all just feels so real. Even the random encounters where NPCs can rob you, there can be women who can like, you know, be alongside the street and they can be like, hey mister, could you help me out? I'm out here lost. You get off your horse trying to be a good Samaritan, and then two motherfuckers jump out of the trees with their guns pointed and they jump you, and then you whip your fucking pistol out and bang bang bang, headshot all three of them in the face. It's just so fucking cool. You can play pretend to surrender and have them come close to you only to whip your gun out and shoot them in the head. There's so much you can do and so many different paths you can take. I know it's a fucking buzzword trope to say this, but I have never had a world feel so alive before in a video game. And the fact that this game is 6 years old now. 6 years! Can you believe it? Anyway, I just wanted to talk about what I've been doing all September and why I don't think there will be another video game like Red Dead again. I have high hopes for GTA 6 in terms of telling a good story and being a fun video game, but even I know the world of GTA 6 will probably not feel as alive as Red Dead 2 when it comes to just the random NPCs, the random encounters you have. I feel like Red Dead Redemption 2 is that once-in-a-lifetime game that you should experience if you haven't. Even if cowboys and westerns isn't your setting, usually it's not mine either. I'm not really a cowboy person. I didn't used to watch any western movies growing up. But you need to play this game just to experience the story. And it is something you cannot get while just watching the cutscenes, mind you, because of everything I've described. You will not feel connected to Arthur Morgan unless you play as Arthur Morgan. Anyway, thank you for listening to me yap. I'll see you later.